Keep it coming, baby, don't stop. Ooh, I love it when you're on top. Ooh, you put my loving on top. You're the future, baby, you're the plan. Ooh, I like it when we get it in. Burn me up and then you burn me down. Then we turn around, go again, 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 again. It's you and I can't deny, it's me and you. And ain't nothing up in this world I wouldn't do. And like a boomerang, I come right back to you. Oh yeah, I'm coming back to you, yeah. It's all because of you. I'll never settle for holding a kiss in you. That's all I wanna do now. I won't take me away. Holding, rubbing, touching, kissing you. That's all I wanna do. That's all I wanna do. Yeah, yeah. It feel like heaven when I'm touching you. You're my dream come true. You're all I ever wanna do. Yeah. Take me away, baby. Take me away. 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 Okay, now, baby, you drive me crazy, crazy. Oh yeah, that look up in your eyes, I know you're ready, ready. Okay, now, baby, you drive me crazy, crazy. Oh yeah, that look up in your eyes, you know you take me away. Oh, you rubbing, touching, kissing you. That's all I wanna do. That's all I wanna do. Yeah, yeah. It feel like heaven when I'm kissing you. You're my dream come true. You're all I ever wanna do. Take me away. 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 Take me away.
Hello, and
What's
welcome
going
to
on?
the Relationship Series. I'm your host, Natalie. All of a sudden, I just decided. Who's at the door? Who? Well, the lights off. Cut the porch light off. Trick or treat is at my door. My porch lights off.
Right.
We don't do Halloween over here. But let me run that back, y'all. Let me run that back for y'all. So again, welcome to the Relationship Series, episode 7.
Right.
Today we're going to be talking about gender roles, and it's also an open forum for conversation today. So all your questions, comments, concerns, please post them. I want to make sure that I answer all those things. Jump in on this conversation because I know some of y'all are going to have some questions about the gender roles in relationships. So again, I am your host, Natural, and this is my co-host, Sion. So we're happy to be here.
Right.
And I want to apologize about last week. I know this month has been a little crazy. We've been a little hit or miss. It's just been a lot of things going on for both of us in the backdrop.
Right.
So we apologize for that, but we are glad that you are still here and tuning into the show. So
right. Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, gender roles and relationships, open forum. So I'm excited about them questions. You know, they be going ham in the questions. So I'm definitely excited. Today is the show for it. Yes.
So we've kind of built up to this moment. Right. And this is why I didn't do this topic so early on in the show, because I really wanted to get people's brains kind of flowing. So we've talked about, relationship perspective. We've talked about the 5 different types of relationships. We've talked about, standards and boundaries. We've talked about communication. We've talked about dating etiquette. And then we recently talked about the beginning stages of a new relationship. Right. So we've kind of covered ground to kind of really get your brain kind of, your brain and, your own desires and wants kind of flowing about, okay, this is what I want in a relationship. This is what I really like to happen. Right. This is what I'm willing to give. But I think sometimes we forget how that lane is really going to look.
Right.
So I felt like if I did this too early, we might get chopper style in the comments too soon.
We might get chopper style. Yeah. We definitely would have got chopper style.
Because people don't like this topic. Nobody likes to hear about their lane, especially in a society that has gotten away from traditional views.
Right.
I mean, you really think about that. I mean, look at, I like to say go back to like 1800s, early 1800s to now.
Right.
And even in the 1950s, the 1950s kept a lot of practices, but as we kind of moved from the 50s to the 60s and then so forth, we've seen so many dramatic shifts. Right. And we kind of talked a little bit about that in my trauma series where I addressed the issues with Black women. I know a lot of you didn't catch that show, and I don't say that in a negative light, so please don't come to me right now. But it was just about our traumas. And how that trauma has really affected us as women culturally. And we talked a lot about, post-traumatic slavery disorder and how that's been passed down generationally and how that has affected us as women and the roles that we've been forced in, and then what that does to us in relationships. So when I was addressing more personally, my culture of women. So, but if you didn't watch it, before you come chopper style me up, I really ask that you go back to the trauma series and you check that out so that you kind of get a clear understanding of what it was that I was addressing. So
you know, I'm alive. You already know I'm alive. It's real. It's about to get real for me.
It did. And gender roles are important. I don't know how many people are here in the show already. Right. I really want to take my time with this and make sure that I speak as clear as possible, because I really don't want people to misinterpret what it is that I'm about to say to them.
Right.
Okay. Because this is not about me chopping you down as an individual. Right. This is not about me attacking your character. This is about if you really want a healthy relationship. And when I say healthy relationship at this stage, I'm talking about marriage. Okay. Right. People. Okay. So here's the facts. I'm going to just go ahead and throw the facts out there right now. Here's the facts. Let's just go and jump into this stuff. Here's the other way. There are 7 billion people on this planet, correct?
Correct.
Women outnumber men drastically. Okay. I think I've said this before on the show.
Right.
But if I haven't, I'm going to say it.
Right.
We outnumber men drastically. Okay. So when I say that, we're talking about a man to 9 women. 1 man to 9 women is the ratio number of today's.
Right.
This is what you got. 9 women, 1 man.
Right.
That's a lot of women that are overpopulating. Are more in abundance than there is a supply of men. Right. Now, and you can also say you could take away the men that are in same-sex relationships.
Right.
Those men are not eligible to be, with a relationship with you because they don't want to be in a relationship with you. So let's take those men and push those aside. I mean, we can talk about the number of men that are still incarcerated. Right. Okay. So that also drops that number. So now, how many women to one actually available man? That number probably jumped maybe by 5. So let's just say, an average man has access to 14 to 1 man. It's an option. Right?
Right.
Here's the fact. I ain't gonna Kevin Sam y'all's either. No, I ain't gonna do y'all like that.
Right.
He be chopping style, boy. He be chopping style.
He be chopping them up.
But the real reality is women, we don't have the upper hand the same way.
Right.
Now, it doesn't mean that everything that we've talked about in this show is inaccurate, because your standards, your boundaries, you still set the pace.
Right.
But here's the reality. Women have the access to sex. Men have the access and hold the keys to the relationship.
To the relationship.
2 very different things.
Right.
We hold the key to sex. Men hold the key to relationships and marriage.
Correct. I agree.
Right. Because men have to decide whether or not they want to propose to you, whether or not they want to be with you in that capacity. Right. So technically, if you're doing the numbers, like I just said, if you're a man and you got 14, dang near 14 women that you could choose from, and I'm just trying to give you the numbers so that you really understand it. I'm not trying to. So I don't do that. Don't do that today. So no, stirring the pot already. But I just want you to think about it.
Right.
If you got that many options, you're gonna go with the best fit for you.
Correct.
Here we are today. A large number of people are not married.
A lot.
And the people that are married, culturally, that we see, are more celebrity based.
Right.
And that's why this topic was so, the series was so important to me, right, was because do not get misconstrued or misguided by what you see in relationships.
Right.
Because everything that is presented to us is not presented in a whole fact. We don't get to see it from beginning, middle to end. We only get to see the pieces that people want to share about their relationships in that marriage. So those can give us some misguided information. So this is why it was so important to talk about what it is that you want, your standards, your boundaries, how you communicate, a clear understanding of sex, intimacy and love, and having a clear understanding of those things. Having a clear understanding of what it is to date and what proper dating etiquette is, and to also have a clear understanding of relationships and what 5 categories you can fall in.
Facts.
Because if you do those things and you did the homework and you did it right, you'll start to see if you're more of a traditional type of person or if you're more of a modern type of person.
Right.
Okay. So if you are a modern woman, but you want a traditional man, it doesn't work.
So it's no. Wow. Okay. It
doesn't work because you're trying to blend traditional and modern and find it somewhere in the middle in a box and say, well, I want him to do this, that, and the third, but then I want to be able to do A, B, C, and D. Right. They don't line up.
Got it.
You can't, it's like saying, well, I traditionally believe that men should pay for dates, but, I don't feel as though I have to, speak like a lady or, represent myself as a woman. I can come out,
right.
We just don't want to contradict those things, right?
Right.
You can't have somebody who has a traditional value and wants some of those things, but then try to mesh them with a traditional style of relationships of gender roles because they don't blend.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So people will often say, is traditional or modern relationship styles better? Traditional relationships, more or less. Okay, I'm just gonna more or less hit this thing. And look, you have to start jumping in this comment section at any given time because this part is definitely open for discussion. So I really want to hear what your thoughts are, what your views are, all of that stuff. Right. Okay. So if we go back and we think about traditional relationships, right? Since the 1800s, that's as far as I'm gonna go back. I ain't gonna bust y'all head all the way back to so and so and so and so. Right. But I mean, you can go back as far and see how long some of these traditions have been upheld.
Right.
But women played a specific role. Right. Now we can say, "Oh, you trying to take me back to the 50s? You want me to cook? You want me to clean? You want me to raise kids?" And then the man is the breadwinner.
Right.
It's bringing what people don't really realize. What it does is it brings the natural, innate traits that men and women have differently. It actually puts them in a proper place.
Right.
Because you think about it. How many women today are super independent, right?
Right.
There's nothing wrong with being an independent woman if you're single. Because when you're single, you have to take care of you.
Right.
Okay? I feel like it's gonna be crickets in the comment section today.
We're gonna see. We're gonna see how it go right now. Right now, they quiet, awfully quiet right now.
They're quiet.
Right.
So, okay. So innately we're different. Okay, so you have a woman, let's say she's independent. Okay.
Right.
Let's say she went to school, she got a degree, she's got a good job, she pays bills, maybe she helps take care of her family, she's got things going on. How easy is it for us women to get stressed out when we add too many things to our plate?
Real easy to get stressed out.
Right. Because women are emotional creatures. We talked about this throughout this series.
Right.
Women are emotional creatures. So us being emotional does not allow us to always think logical or rational.
Right.
Because we are the nurturing element, it is our nature to deal more so in our emotions than it is to deal in the logical and rational realm.
Right.
Where men handle more stress and are able to do so because they think on a more logical and rational level and less of an emotional level.
True.
Men see what it is that has to happen. This is what I need to do. This is what I got to do. I'm going to make it happen. A woman can get frazzled about that. Oh my God, I got to do this. I got to do that. You know what I'm saying? It's just a lot. I feel like I'm about to break down, and I just, and then, but we end up trying to hide that because we feel like that's a sense of weakness.
Right.
We want to have equality, right?
Right.
But technically, we're not really made to balance the same.
Right. It's two separate roles. It's like we were made two different, right? To complement each other.
Right. Because if you look at it, if you look at a man and a woman that have a successful marriage, anybody who's on here today who listening and watching, if you know somebody who's been married for X amount of time, and I'm, talking a good long time, look at their relationship and ask questions and find out how that works for them.
Right.
Because even in a relationship, you still have to stay in your lane.
Still have to stay in your lane.
And one thing I found interesting, right, and this is kind of why I thought this was a great topic too, is right. I do watch Kevin Samuels.
Kevin Samuels.
Boy, like I said, he be chopping styling him out here in the street.
He ain't playing with him. He ain't playing with him. But it made a perfect point to me that I wanted to. I really thought that I felt like people were getting misunderstood about him was, well, they're talking about high value, right? Right.
So if you want a high value man, they're talking about a man that makes X amount of figures, right?
Right.
And so I really wanted to bring the numbers because I was like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. And I just wanted to kind of open the forum for discussion around. That's why I said we'll talk about the gender roles and we'll kind of get it going. But I'm kind of moving in a groove. So just stick with me. Okay. Right. Stick with me. He made it a point to say, and I thought this was really interesting. Right. High value is corporate America. Right. That's what he's talking about when he talks about high value.
That takes me out of it. That excludes me out right there. Yeah. It's not the corporate about me.
but think about it. If you only have like 10% of people in the world, men in the world, that are that kind of wealthy. So let's say between 100,000 and 300,000, it's about 4% of the population, right? Give or take. Let's say 500,000, people, men that make 500,000, let's just say that's about 3%, maybe 2, maybe 1. His number was 1%. Right. And then anybody that makes, multi-millions to billions is like a 0.1 to 0.2% out of 7 billion people.
Right. It's like hitting the lotto.
Right.
Right.
But a lot of those men marry their wives or meet their wives while they're in college.
Right.
And another fact is a lot of them don't make that money in corporate America until they're at least in their 40s.
Right.
Had to work their way up the corporate ladder. But the point that he was making was, and I found this interesting, that women were getting upset because he was telling them about their options. Like, you don't really have no options.
Right. Not in that level. Like, you can't get
Not
in that
level.
No. Right.
No. But what do most of these women do that are, we're not talking about your ball players. Okay, we're not talking about your NFL players. We're not talking about your rap.
Right.
But your corporate America, multimillionaires, you know, making six figures, these men have wives that do what?
Stay at home, most of them.
Nobody has an independence in that
right. At all.
So it was just something to think about that I really found interesting. Wow. We want, as women, to be secure. We want to feel safe. We want stability. But what are we willing to give to get that? And even for the average man, right? And when he says average, the man that doesn't make, makes 90,000 or less.
Right.
Which is the most of people in the world.
Right.
Middle class people, right?
Right.
A middle class person still doesn't want to go through the drama.
No drama. Mm-mm. That neck rolling, that toxic stuff. Just keep that over there. Just keep that over there. We don't want that.
He said, "You know how that
we don't want that.
Be rolling, them hands be clapping, and you don't,
Yeah, we don't want that. No,
I get it, but that was something to think about.
Right.
So I want people to think about that while we're talking about tonight's topic.
Right.
Because if you have to be willing to look at, you got two individuals coming together to make a union, which I've talked about, that are two very unique individuals. Now, I'm going to hit y'all from a spiritual standpoint, right, to kind of make my point on why I look at marriage in the traditional sense to be more successful than the modern sense. Right. Okay? So we're going to talk about traditional marriage now, but I wanted to throw those stats out there because I wanted you to kind of understand what I'm talking about. Okay? Now, modern day relationships to me are your Cardi B's, Cardi B, Offset, some of the NFL relationships or ball players that have with, and I kind of explain to you why I look at those as more modern day relationships. Okay. Right. But let's talk about traditional. So in traditional sense, I believe that traditional marriage value has the head of God in mind. Right. Okay. So that means that a man and a woman each play a specific portion or a specific role within their union that makes their union function and flow well. Right. Okay. So if God says to man, hey, I made man in my image. Right. And then man did not come from woman, but woman came from man. Right. So woman is created in the image of man. Amen. If man is created in the image of God. Right. So God has already given you the hierarchy right there. He's already given you the role. Man comes from me, you come from man. Right. Dot. Right. That's one thing you can't get away from if you're on a spiritual plane. Right. If you're not, then you can disregard it. I can't tell you how to feel. I can't tell you what to believe. But I think that it is critical if you look at older marriages. Right. So they would consider men to be more dominant in traditional relationships. Right. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, I get it. Men are the breadwinners. They are the dominant man. They are the dominant. If you really look back into older relationships back in the 50s, women didn't even wear pants.
They couldn't even wear pants. In the caveman days, they bopped you in the head. So you come with me.
I I think there was a little dowry. I think they did a little dowry there. You know, like they would.
Right.
You know, they did arranged marriages too back then.
They did arranged marriages as well.
They arranged it. And if you think about it, marriages were arranged based on who would be the best fit for the role.
Right. Right.
You know, kings and queens have arranged marriages for centuries.
Right. Yeah. To keep the bloodlines. Yeah.
Keep the bloodlines. Yeah. You know what? You know, some girls. I don't know if y'all have ever watched the show Bridgerton. Bridgerton is a great example of 1813 London Regency era, and it shows how these young girls have been bred their whole lives to be wives and to be mothers, and that was their greatest. That was the one thing that they treasured more than anything else.
Right. Right.
Because they felt like that was their first duty as a woman, was to be a wife and to be a mother.
To be a wife and mother.
Which is an honor.
Right.
I think in a lot of senses.
Wow. Right. I agree.
So if traditional marriage says that the man is the head and he covers the family, right. He provides for the family.
Provides.
That means that a man really has a lot of work that he has to do to be able to be in that position.
Right.
And it says something about a man's character, that he will not enter into a relationship and choose to take on a wife until he can financially support that wife, maybe spiritually cover that family,
right,
and to be able to ensure that she goes without nothing.
Wow.
And in return, the woman helps the man by being the helpmeet, by supporting and helping him with his vision.
Right.
That's traditional. Traditional says that woman is a helpmeet and that she is there to help her husband fulfill his vision, the vision that God gives him, and the purpose in which God has created him to do.
Right.
But she, in turn, will help support and encourage. And some of these women, they did work. Right. And maybe they made fine linens, or they did something side, but it wasn't like they were in corporate America.
Right. It was different. Right.
It was very, very different. And these wives would what? They would raise their children. They would, PTA and, involved in all of the upbringing and ensuring these things and right. taking care of a household. Now, any woman today who has children, and let's just say you're single, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Because you're playing mom and daddy, you're doing all the household responsibilities, and you have to leave the household for work, or even if you work from home, you still have to put that energy into that.
Right.
So you're playing multiple lanes. But in traditional marriage, it says, I do this and you do that.
Right.
But it also meant that women respected their husbands. Wives respected their husbands in a very different way.
Right, it's different.
In the 50s, they didn't sleep together in the same bed.
Wow.
They slept in separate beds. The only time they came together to sleep in the same bed was when they would, work for reproducing or want to be intimate with each other. But other than that, they didn't defile each other.
Well, happy time.
Right. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that's a little. I said, now, you know what? That's one thing I don't like about old tradition. They was doing too much of that.
Right.
We might go sliding over here to the side,
right,
and go. You know what I'm saying?
Go to work. Right.
So I think that, but what I liked about it was I liked that there was a different level of respect and understanding,
right,
for one another. Now, yes, we have progressed since then.
Right.
But I think that some traditional value is still very alive and well.
Right.
Like I've looked at certain churches, like what's that guy's name? Geno Jenkins. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of him.
I haven't heard of Geno.
He's a Christian pastor,
right.
But he takes on some of the Muslim ideology where, if you're a Muslim and you go to mosque, or I don't know how they call it.
They call it mosque. There's the mosque.
Okay.
Right.
Women and men are in completely separate areas. They're not allowed to mix together.
Right.
Well, what he does in his church is he separates the men and the women. Men are on one side, women are on the other, because he says it doesn't allow you to get distracted in the house of God.
Right.
It doesn't allow you to be over here looking at her and doing this, that, and the third, and you get a little hot and bothered, but you really ain't focusing on it. If I separate this, then you get that.
Right.
Same thing with, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think in certain situations that may work. In other situations, I know in past churches that I've been in that have done that, it's like you got to think, right? Living in the society we live in now, you know, it's like you work all week, right? It's like you come home, you get food ready, put the kids to bed, so you don't have much family time. So you get Saturday and Sunday. So a lot of families, they come together as a family, right? Now it's like you get to church, they separate you. Men over here, women over there, the kids in the back, or Sunday school or whatever and stuff like that. So it takes away the family boundaries. You get what I mean? It's like, and just from past experiences, from what I've seen, it's like a lot of times when those is like in those situations, from where I've seen, from what I've seen, the marriages didn't last. It's like, so now, okay, they come into church, right? It's like you got to, you living in, you know, the 2000s. So it's like, you know, family both may be working, or one may be home, one may work, but they don't spend a lot of time to go together. So you get Saturday, you get that day, you know, you might be kids playing soccer, whatever you're doing, but there's no intimate family time.
Right.
Now you come together on church on Sunday and they separate you and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, what I've seen, it's like, okay, the men may be following the pastor, or it may be a female pastor, the women there with the pastor. It's like one feels neglected out. Where it's like, okay, I might work all the time. When I come home, we got to get the kids ready. We got to do this. Then, you know, by the time the end of the night comes, we tired. We got to do it all over the next day. So now you talk about months later of this, right? Because it's like some settings, it's like you're required to be there. So it's like we church and we doing it for God. But it's like, as far as the hour time, the family time is going with foul. So now, you know, I've seen on both sides, I've seen some men resent the woman now. You put in the pastor, you put the church before us. On the flip side, you may have the woman. You know, you moving for the pastor, you jumping for them, but what about me? And it's like, so now they get lonely. And it's like, you're trying to do the right thing. You're doing it in God. But it's like, you know, people often forget marriage is the home is the first ministry. That's right. It was like, even in church and you worshiping God and all, that's cool. Once the family is straight. A lot of times nowadays people get twisted in the church, in the leadership, and they put that above the marriage. In most cases that I've seen, the marriages wind up falling. But
see, and I think that is a very good point that you made. Right. I really do, because you do got to make sure that your house is in order. Right. And I do believe that marriage is a ministry within itself, like you were saying. Right. But I'm also a believer in First Corinthians. And, you know, a lot of people don't like that. But, you know, God says that women cannot usurp authority over men. Right. That is not your lane. That's not your lane. It's not your lane. And it's also a scripture. And people get mad because they're like, oh, well, that's, you know, no, that's New Testament. Right. And it was a letter to the church. But what he was saying is that women cannot usurp spiritual authority over men. Right. Because you're not the head. You're not the head. Wow. And so this is where and what I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to tread lightly, y'all. I'm really trying to tread lightly.
I mean, it's real, but it's tricky. It's tricky, but it's real.
It's very tricky.
Right.
You have to find your lane in your role. Right. Now, not everybody is able. I want to make sure I'm saying this correctly. Not everybody is able to live a lifestyle where, you know, a woman can stay home and raise children. Right. So we've already crossed some of that line. So that means that more than likely both the man and the woman work. Right. Right. Now people say, well, what does that mean? What do I do with that? Right. Because I'm already not in a traditional sense.
Already, right.
But a woman should not work as hard as a man.
Facts. That's a fact.
That's the difference. I don't believe that.
Right.
Now, y'all, the viewers, have your entitlement to believe what you want to believe as far as what works for you.
Right.
But if you want to have a successful, healthy relationship, you really have to understand the lane in which you are operating.
Right. Right.
Okay. So we'll go over some of the most common stereotype genders that people talk about for traditional marriage to just make people upset. Okay. Right. We're going to talk about those. First one is cooking.
Cooking.
Women feel like, the traditional value says that they feel like a woman's place is in the kitchen. From a young age, women are taught to cook.
Right. Some women.
I was taught at about 6, right. 5, 6, peeling potatoes. Right. Learning how to peel potatoes. My grandmother, they had a catering business. Yeah. First thing I ever learned how to cook was pancakes.
Right.
Pancakes and eggs, and then, working my way on it.
You got it.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it. 2021 now. I'm gonna tell you, like, some of these, everybody's on Facebook. They're posting their meals. Everybody's posting Sunday dinner, and I'm looking like, you didn't do that. You didn't prepare this and put Sunday dinner, and then have the nerve to post this. Some of this stuff looked like I had better food in jail. Like, all right. Like, I had better food in jail. I know how to cook.
You had better food in jail.
Some of that stuff is like, come on now. You knew better. It's like bland. It's just like, I'm going to give you an example. I seen one. Somebody had made beef stew. It was the chunk beef. It looked like some canned gravy. They sprinkled a little salt on it. They had green beans on the side. And it was like a Hawaiian roll. It's like, it was the one side, the meatball looking beef with the gravy, and they put up the Sunday dinner. I had to throw, wait, let me get it right. They said I had to throw down and put the Sunday meal together. I almost blocked them. I'm going to be real with you, because it's like, you knew better than the title of this. Now, if you would have just said, we eating, that's one thing.
Right.
You didn't title this. I just had to throw down on this Sunday dinner. And it looked like some microwavables look better than what they had posted up. Like, so everybody can't cook, in a situation like that is like, all right, don't even worry about it.
Oh, snap.
Now, if you invite me over, or you say, I'm going to bring, I'm single, so I'm going to cook for you.
Okay.
And they cook for me. And then sometimes where it's like, you know what? Let me tell you something. Don't you ever bring me. You know how you get a dog the food and the dog don't want it? Like, you serious? This what you got? No disrespect to women. Not women in that situation. I'm not making fun of them. I'm just saying somehow along the way from the 60s to now, some balls have been dropped. It's like some people, they grew up in the kitchen where it's like, they know how to make from scratch. Mm-hmm. You have some people that say, I'm going to cook. I know how to cook. And they're pulling out, box macaroni. They're doing 5-minute rice. They, that ain't throwing down in the kitchen.
No.
It's not throwing that. So when we say cooking, it's some men that's like, even me. It's like I started at an early age. Both parents were working. Yeah. So it's like either that, and I'm not the type to like fast food all the time. So it's like, either I'm going to starve. I can't just junk food myself to death. I'm going to have to learn how to cook this food. But it's like now it's an advantage now. Because it's like sometimes it's like women, they really don't know how to cook. They may be trying to, learn recipes. You're learning to cook, and that's great. But you're 40 years old. You're 30-something years old.
Ain't messing with you.
But it's like, that's not your specialty. That's not, you know what I mean? And it's like, come on, hold on. We getting comments. Cruz in there. I salute the Cruz. So it's like, I say that to say, some people just don't know. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with that. If you don't know how to cook and you're learning, that's one thing. Right. But it's like women say, I can cook. And it's like, your kids don't even want that food.
Right.
You didn't post that, or you didn't present this like, yo, I'm cooking every night. No, that's when you eating out every night. And a lot of people do that as well. Like, yo, I can say it. A lot of people don't say that. Like, yo, she can't cook. That ain't her specialty. That ain't why I married her. I married her for happy time. She's good at happy time, but that kitchen, that ain't her thing. So as a single man, it's like, yo, it's like, it gets real. Women, I can cook. Yo, don't even worry about the meal.
Right.
Don't worry about that. So everybody, I just said that to say everybody can't cook. Everybody didn't grow up with Big Mom in them. Nah.
Now I will, and I always use myself as an example. I grew up in that kind of household. Right. So my grandmother had a catering business with her sister-in-law. Right. And my mother worked there, helped them from time to time. And that's how I learned how to cook. Right. So my grandmother always said that, a young lady needs to know this skill. This is vital for you one day as a woman.
Right. Burning water. Right.
So
right.
I learned how to cook at an early age. Now, me as a woman, I enjoy that. Right. I like doing that for my family.
Right.
I like cooking them. I like cooking them meals. I like baking for them. I like doing those things. It makes me feel like I have, that is an asset that I bring to the table. Right. Okay. Now my husband can burn. He can get down. He can cook. Right. I appreciate it. And like I said, now we live in a 2-parent household where we both work. Right. So my husband will cook from time to time, but I do not expect him to do it more than I do, especially because my job is a lot easier physically and lighter. Right. That's a benefit. So when I talk to you guys about these traditional roles, I just want you to kind of soak in some of what I'm saying and think about these things. Because most of us do not live in a relation or in relationships where most of them stay home.
Right. That's a fact.
And if you are able to stay home, then you have to do that in a manner that fits your means and your pockets. That's not right. So, but something to think about. Do you think that women should take that role on more traditionally? Or do you think that, that is equal something that both men and women can do?
Right. No.
So that's one of the traditional thought processes when it comes to women, believing that. Men working outside the home and women staying home. That was another traditional value we just kind of talked about. It shows that the man should be the one working while the woman stays home, and the most important male of gender roles. Right. This is something that is slowly disappearing as more women choose to prioritize their careers.
Right.
See, this is the difference where I was talking about, if you have to take care of you, right? You got to take care of you. So you're going to go to school, you're going to get an education. I went to school and got an education. I had a master's degree. Right. So I can't knock anybody for going to school and getting an education and having an outstanding degree. Okay, I can't knock nobody for that. But if you wanted to be in a relationship and the person that you're with is saying, these are the things that I would like, are you willing to not prioritize the career and prioritize being a wife and a mother?
Right.
Because remember that marriages give up the eyes for we. 2 individuals coming together as one. So you give up the individual for the unit.
For the union. I agree with that.
So you have to really check, is your priority solely more beneficial for you as an individual, less than a unit?
Right.
Okay. So when it comes to traditional roles affecting professional lives, it was found that women tend to get jobs easier in nursing homes or hospitality industry. And it was perceived because of their nurturing attributes. Because women are naturally nurturers, we are perceived to be more sensitive.
Right.
On the other hand, it is far easier for men to start their careers in the field of IT or technology because of their perceived analytical skills.
Right.
This is just one tiny example of how traditional gender roles still impact personal daily lives. We've heard career women say that. Well, I got to work twice as hard to be in this position or to do this particular job.
Right.
We're in a space in society right now where we are trying to change the complete foundation of what is shown to work throughout time.
Right.
We're just doing away with it.
Right. Right.
Caretaking comes naturally for women most of the time. And there have been a few women that I have seen or known in my life that I'm just kind of like, what happened? You ain't got a nurturing bone in your body. It ain't there.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
And they have something to do with trauma, upbringing, but majority of the time, women have that nurturing, we have that nurturing component.
Right.
And that is something that we consider our responsibility a lot of times. Men don't breastfeed. They can't breastfeed.
No.
So most women, who have chosen that, it's a nurturing component. It's nurturing your child. It's loving your child. Women often put the needs of others before themselves. That is part of the nurturing role. That is what we see a lot of women do today, that get themselves into unhealthy situations because they do it out of the context instead of really doing the research that we've kind of talked about over the time to really kind of wrangle that in and know where to put that energy and where not to give that energy too soon.
Right.
Okay. Again, we already talked about, back in the day, men wore pants, women wore dresses. I have a friend to this very day, she's never wore pants a day in her life.
Wow.
She was raised, and she's a Black woman. Her name is Victoria. Love her to death. Love her to death. Right. She's been married for a long time. And her husband is a pastor. And she will tell you that I
don't wear pants.
She said it's not. She said women should not dress like men. That is her belief. Wow. She takes that is her extreme.
Right.
She does not, will not. Wow. You will never catch her in a pair of pants. Now, whether or not she wears sweatpants or something at home, that's behind closed doors.
Right.
Outside, but when you see her in public, you will never see her in anything but a dress. All the time. Beautiful woman, wonderful. I love her compassion. I love her thought process, but she believes in traditional woman values. And that really has helped her household. That's what they believe in. And that's how they live their lives. Okay. Right. I'm not trying to tell women they have to do that. We're just talking about traditional roles. Okay. Right. Because I like me a good pair of slacks too, honey. So I say, hey, we're just going to put that out there. Even in our childhoods, right, we have been focused on introducing our gender roles. Right. Women play with dolls. Men play with G.I. Joes or right, trucks. Right. I can remember that as a kid. I don't know how many people can go back to their childhood and remember that. Right. I also did other stuff, played a little sports and, rode my bike and stuff like that. But for, the bulk of my childhood until I got to maybe 9 or 10, the biggest focus, about 7, 8 is dolls. I had all the Barbies. I ain't even going front. I had all the Barbies. I had the Barbie cars. I had the Barbie ID. I had the Barbie grocery store, baby. I was Barbie in a damn, baby. I had the little carry-on, put the little dolls in there, and close it up, and go to my friend's house, taking my Barbies with me.
Right.
So what they're trying to say is, have children been forced into gender roles, or was it something that was naturally innate to us? And they actually did a study and shown that women, the little girls and little boys, naturally gravitated to the innate portion of their gender.
Wow.
Girls naturally innately chose dolls. Boys naturally chose, more boy appropriate toys.
Right. And that's the thing. Even as a kid, I love my cousin to death. Bless the dead. He's gone now. But I remember back, even as far back as probably 5, 6 years old, we playing G.I. Joe, kids playing, dodgeball and stuff like that. He had 3 older sisters. So it was like certain things he would do, it was suspect to us in a way like that was strange. Like, what are you doing? But I didn't have sisters. He had 3 older sisters. So at the time, I looked at it that way. Like, okay, he's different. He's got the sisters. So there's no boys in the house. It was 3 girls. He's the only little boy. He was the youngest on top of that. So it's like, we're doing boy stuff. He's with the girl cousins. We doing boy stuff. He's with the girl cousins. So it's like back then, even at 5, 6 years old, I remember always looking like he's different. So it's like, the older people, what do you mean he's different? And it's like, I couldn't articulate it.
Right.
But it's like, he's different. It's like, when we gravitate, all the cousins get together, all of us over here, he would always be over there. It's like,
but that's natural for especially if there's not a father in the home, and I don't know if there was or not.
It was a father, his father to this day, to the day he died, his father and him always butted heads about that. Yeah.
So you have that, but if you are predominantly raised in a female environment, you're naturally going to adopt more of a feminine nature. Doesn't necessarily mean you're gay or you're going to be gay.
Right.
But you naturally learn to, because you don't have the masculine energy around you enough to really we want to identify. That's what I'm trying to get. We want to identify. So that's why they say, boys whose fathers are around, they have a tendency to want to emulate their fathers. They want to be their fathers because that is the image for them, where girls will want to mirror their mothers because that is the image for them. So if you remove that from the household and say, well, all you got is all girls, you're going to learn to identify with your environment.
Right.
And so I've even told when I worked with families and I worked with children, I would tell women, that were really having issues with some of their sons, the biggest thing that you're lacking at this moment is a male figure.
All right.
Need mentorship, even if you can't give them, stepfather or, that's not your current situation. And biological dad is not around and doesn't want to be around, because we fail to realize that there are certain things that we are innately made to do.
Right. That
we can't get away from, that we need to be able to connect with in order to fulfill that role. Right. To identify, to self-identify.
Right.
Now, people can say today, I'll go ahead and spin it. You're giving kids options. Right. I do this to please don't nobody come for me. I say this, that you hear about little boys now playing with dolls. Well, why is he playing with a doll? Right. He didn't just innately go and pick up the doll. You made the doll a choice.
Right.
Now you're confusing the child before they actually have an opportunity to identify. Okay. So now you hear, well, what am I? Am I a boy or am I a girl?
Right.
Because we're giving options where options shouldn't be needed.
Right. Right.
And people get mad at me for that, but I really look at that on the psychological aspect of a child. Right. Children don't really go through the identity of their gender until they're about 5.
Right. Wow.
5 and 6 is when you start really coming into, okay, I'm a little girl and little girls are like this and little boys are like that. And, but up until that point, you're really not focused on that. But if you're giving a kid options before that point, you run into these issues as they get older because we naturally progress and develop in a certain kind of way. Right. We start to know that we're different Okay, well, I'm a girl, he's a boy. And even as we progress, we start to notice the differences between girls and boys.
Right.
Bless you. So we know that that's very innate.
Right.
It's been that way since the beginning of time. Okay. So, but like I said, if you flip that and you start giving options and you say, oh, well, honey, play with this doll. Play with this. Little girls, play with a football.
Right.
You're gonna naturally start to you're gonna change what is innate because you're gonna confuse them before they're even, and that's something they'll start to battle with. I think a lot of kids that battle with gender identity has a lot to do with things that, it's got a lot to do with certain things that I think that, were dropped the ball on, or sexual assault, which we talked about that in the trauma series. But, we are naturally innate in certain areas. All creatures on the earth are innate in certain areas. Wow. We are the only race that can change our gender and change those things. Every other animal on the face of the earth is biologically, tied to the way that they are made. They cannot do anything different or separate from that. Right. Male, female. Look at how the males fight for females. There's still a level of hierarchy within animal relationships. Right. Right. Which I think is dope, because it kind of shows you, because we're considered mammal, right? Right. So we share certain characteristics, but we're the only ones that have the ability to go against what is biologically innate for us. We can change that. Right. Sensitivity. We talked about this. I believe in men being emotional. I believe there's a time and a place for that. If you watched episode 4, then you know that. Sex, love, and intimacy. There's nothing wrong with a man being sensitive. However, a lot of men, we talked about this, were raised to not be sensitive. Right. To not show that emotion, because it was a sign of weakness. That is one tradition that has kept, if we do go back and we look in history, there are some relationships that suffered because there was a lack of that.
Right. A lot of prisons filled with that too. A lot of prisons filled with that because people got mad or got angry. They didn't know how to deal with it.
Right. Nope. So the lack of being able to be vulnerable. I don't agree with that one. I don't agree with that traditional role. I think that actually strengthens a marriage. It strengthens a relationship. Right. Aggression.
Affection.
Talking about
to kiss.
talking about another traditional role that causes harm to society that people believe is that men are expected to behave more aggressively and have more acts of violence, where women are considered to be more docile. Now, let's address that for what that really is. Okay. Right. Aggression isn't good on either end. Right. But if men do get aggressive, look at their testosterone levels. You guys are naturally made with testosterone. We know that they can get a little hot. They can get up there. They can get a little out of pocket.
They can get up there.
I done seen men have pissing contests with each other. Like
testosterone. You go back. Quit. You go back.
Testosterone, competitive. Men are naturally like that. That's the hunter instinct in men. Right. The head of, the king of something. You know what I'm saying? It is territorial. It's no different than a lion. You step into my territory, you know what I'm saying? Or you come over here with a piss match, we gonna get into it. Right. Because men are the testosterone has innately made men to be able to have that. It's the protective energy. It is my kingdom energy.
Right. The defender in them, the defender.
Right. So they're made like that. Women don't have testosterone. We have estrogen. We get very small amounts of testosterone, but we are more filled with estrogen. So they're trying to say that women should be more docile. Wow. They're saying that we are expected to be more soft-spoken and things of that nature. Now, I will tell y'all this, and I've told y'all this before on the show. Men don't want masculine energy. No. A man don't want to feel like he has to argue with you.
Right.
or that you gonna come at him like you one of his homeboys and come in and try to check.
Oh no.
Masculine energy is where they will label us angry Black women, but really we're so used to being independent and having to do for ourselves that we've taken on our own role of leadership.
Right.
And when we come into a relationship, we fail to realize that we are not the head. We become under the head. We are covered under the man. When you're not ready for that role, you bring in that masculine energy. You bring in your name. Well, we both alphas. I've heard people say we both alphas in this. How? Tell me.
That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work.
I told y'all my husband, I tried to get hot there one day. My husband was like, hey, not over here. We're not gonna do that.
Right.
Who the head over here?
Right.
We both can't be in charge. We both can't run the ship. He said, but then again, I don't even want to, masculine energy does not make a man feel like you're his feminine counterpart.
Not at that point. Nah. Now you don't usurp my authority, or it's like a disrespect. They take it as you don't respect me,
right,
as a man. Right.
So do I believe in docileness? I don't like the word docile, but I do, because docile just... it sounds like you just so weak. I don't think that women have to be weak.
Right.
But I think about some of the most famous women in history behind some of the most powerful men.
Right.
They were very feminine, and they were very woman.
Right. And actually they had power, but it was a different power.
It's a different level of power.
Right.
So because they always say behind a man is a strong woman. The woman helps the man meet the vision and the purpose, because she is the helpmeet. So you have power that you don't that is supportive and nurturing and uplifting. You get to push and help the vision come to fruition.
Right.
There's power in that. But if you want to assert your authority over a man, he's never going to give you what you want. Because a man will not deal with a woman who thinks that she is the head and he is beneath her. Right. Because what you do is you emasculate him. Right. So I think that that's why when we talked about communication, it's good to be assertive. It's good to address issues. However, don't be that person where when people are around, you're really asserting authority.
Definitely. Around people. You got a better chance behind closed doors than in front of people.
In front of people, yeah. And that is something that so that's why I said I don't agree with the docileness, but I think a woman in out in public should be a lady.
Right.
Should be a lady. You should represent yourself as a woman through and through. Because if you are in a marriage, you are a direct representation of your spouse, and your spouse is a reflection. You guys are a reflection of each other. Okay?
Definitely.
So a woman should be, to a certain extent, present herself as such, right?
Right. Right.
But don't give masculine energy and don't assert authority over a man in front of other people, because what it does is it emasculates him. Right. So I think that when we talk about communication, really applying your ability to communicate, but in a manner that's conducive for the both of you. Vanity.
Wow. Vanity.
So here we talk about this. So this is it. Let's talk about being pretty. If you believe traditional gender roles, a pretty woman is someone who is petite, has a sharp face, and various attractive physical features. For men, it is someone who is tall and muscular and has probably few scars. This is probably most discussed traditional gender role in today's society. Wow. It is. Wow. I've been doing a little research on some of this stuff. Right. Wow. So, but what actually has happened is we're seeing a lot of slicing and dicing. People have, anorexia, They're bulimic, they're doing body dysmorphia, they're cutting themselves up, they're trying to look and fit the image. They're trying to fit the image. This is a gender role that has, if you do look back in society,
right.
Most of the women were very physically small. They were petite. There wasn't a lot of women that were overweight. There wasn't a lot of those things. Today we see more of that.
Right. Diets and stuff like that.
People, it's happening.
Right.
So, but we see that people fix it by going into the night. Right. Whether we're getting liposuction or, we're augmenting our breast or we're augmenting our butts, we're getting tummy tucks. We're doing this, we're doing that.
Right.
We are trying to have an image. But sometimes the image is the wrong image.
The wrong image. All right now.
So it's the wrong image. Because think about it. All right. Let's get into it. Okay. We're gonna get into it.
All right. Now.
Get myself ready. If we went back and talked about this for number one, prime example, let's talk about let's talk about modern day relationships right quick.
Right.
In a modern day relationship, we have women that are independent. Okay. We have men that don't mind independent women. Okay. Right. Because, but again, I'm just throwing this out here, but I'm going to break it down. Okay. So just go with me. You got men that don't mind independent women. And you have women that are promoting, the wrong thing with their image. Right.
Right.
Think about the sectors in which this is acceptable. Women that are cutting themselves, getting breast implants, getting butt implants, tummy tucks, things like that. They're constantly trying to work on themselves, the whole body thing. You only see women that do that are primarily women that are attached to the industry or want to be within the industry.
Right, in the entertainment industry.
Right. Whether it be a football player, an NBA player, a rapper, because the music that they listen to promotes that very thing. So right. You want to mirror the image in which you are a social with.
Right.
Now, if you wanted to let's take your corporate wives. They might go get a little work done, a little Botox here and there, try to get some of these wrinkles out the way.
Right.
But they're not messing with their bodies.
No, they're not. No, definitely not.
Why? Two different social settings.
And they're confident in themselves. They're more confident, where the music and the entertainment brings a lot of insecurity on people and stuff like that. And it's like, especially in the workplace, when they're in corporate America, like their confidence is in their brains, their skill. The people that feel like they don't have that to offer, they overcompensate with the looks. And okay, that's the only thing that's going to capture a man. Or so let me get my butt bigger. Let me get some boobs. That's going to bring me the attention, because like you were saying in one of the other series, they feel like that's all they have to offer. Like the person that's bringing sex to the table right off the gate. So they feel like, I don't have a personality. I don't have conversation. It's like, so let me trap you with the sex right quick, and then let's put a mirage over you. Now you're under the spell. And it's the same thing. It's like, it's a big sign of insecurity to me. When I look at people like that, it's insecurity.
But it bleeds out.
Right.
It bleeds out. So you got women in, music saying they don't cook, they don't clean, they don't do these things. Well, if that's not what you do.
Right. What do you do? Happy.
Right. If that's not what you do, who are you getting married to?
The happy
because
time.
Because if a man didn't work and he chose not to provide,
right,
and he didn't have the ability, he didn't have his when I think of a man, I think of a man that has vision, has purpose. He said, what do you do?
Wow.
What do you do? Right. Because here's the thing. I talked about it in the one episode. I said, women fail to realize that men want things too. We get it all misconstrued that it's all about us and that we're the only ones that want anything, and it's got to be about us and it's got to be this, that, and it doesn't, because men want something too.
Right. It's got to be the medium in the middle. Right.
You got to meet in the middle. You have to really think about what you bring to the table and what role you want to play.
Right.
Are you going to be a modern relationship? And what is modern relationship divorce rate say?
Right.
It's excessively high. It's excessively high.
Facts. No, that's a fact.
But traditional marriages lasted.
They lasted. Because they got the foundational principles, right?
You said your parents were married 43 years.
Right. 43, yeah. 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 Yeah, that's a fact right there. You can get boxed anywhere. You can get boxed anywhere. You fall into some box.
But did you know that when you look back, and this is kind of crazy, I just want to point this out. Men don't care about a woman's level of education.
Right.
And not all, and I say that in the context. If she brings her womanly innate talents
right
to the table,
he can work with that. He can work with that part. It's like because you right.
Because think about it, in the 50s, if the women didn't work, they didn't get educated like that.
Right. Right.
But they were raised to do what their role was as a wife and a mother first.
Right.
That's what secured them. That's what secured the bag for them.
Right. I'm talking.
But now we out here trying to secure the bag doing what?
Cutthroat, any way to get it. Any way to get it. It's almost professional prostitution, really, if you want to be real about it. Like, yo, it's legal now. It's pretty much like that's what it is. It's like he said, the box, people think the box is everything is like sex, sex, sex. Well, I'm this, that, and the third. I'm sexy. What else besides that, though? It's
but
like,
the ass is gonna drop when you about 50, 60.
Right. It's that long.
Yeah, ass gonna drop, titties gonna drop. You have pop out a couple kids, do a little bit of breastfeeding. They ain't gonna be perky like they used to be no more.
Right. That's like a term that me and Rob and them use. We say, yo, the girls that was in school that was getting ran through, they look like they've been ran through now. But it's like the girl that, she preserved her box.
Mm-hmm.
She still looks like something. It's like some of them girls where everybody was tag teaming. You look like you've been in a couple of wrestling matches.
Right.
I'm gonna leave it alone.
But see what's crazy though, and I'm gonna ask you a question because I know we're talking about gender roles. I know we're just having an open forum discussion, you guys. So go ahead and jump in the comments. Men that are watching tonight, I have a question for y'all. Okay, right. So I'm asking Sion, I'm gonna ask you, I'm asking all y'all. Men want to be with a woman that look good. They want her to look good. Yeah, they want her to be nice, but they don't want her to be too fine. Because when you're too fine, you got options.
Right.
What do y'all think about that? Is that do y'all agree with that statement? Does she need to be like an 8? Is a 10 too high? What are we looking at here?
I want her confidence on a 10. Now, I want her to look good. Now, I ain't walking around with no 2 and a confidence on a 10. I the hell with that. You're tripping. Now, but it's like, yo, one thing that I can say from my past, right? And maybe this is just me. Maybe I'm jumping out the window, right? I've been the type of person, right, where they may be a 7, it may be an 8. Okay. I say I can work with you, right? I can work with that, right? Down the road, looking back. Now, it may not have worked out or whatever the case may be. I've learned, right?
Right.
If I'm on the car lot, if I'm on the dealership, get the car that I want. And get the hell off. So if it's the 2021, the brand new deluxe, get that, because at the same time, it's like, this another thing. As a man, I could say, you get in a relationship, right? You with your woman, she's beautiful, right? Now you go into work, you got to go to the grocery store, you're out in the world, right? These single women, they're on the prowl. So they decked up. They, boom, I'm, makeup on fleek, whatever the case may be. They're trying to capture somebody.
Right.
So it's like, now, okay, you going to work, you come home, you got your 7, you got your 8. I love her. Temptation is real. So it's like, now, if y'all not on one accord, right? So now it's like communication or problems start happening. Y'all getting distant. Now it's like the girl that's coming in every morning, that's smelling good, got her stuff together, everything on. You ain't been paying her attention as long as you and your woman together. Right. The moment issues start coming in, you might say, "Damn, I never know. You look nice." Now the conversations start getting longer. I think find what you like, whether it's a 10, if you want a 10, get your 10 and get out the way. If you like a 7, I'm not the type of person that may be like, well, I'm worried about somebody else or her having options. If we together, we together. So what I'm trying to say is, and I'm being long-winded, but what I'm trying to say is, from my personal experiences, if I want the 10, get the 10 so I don't be regretting it later. Where it's like, I'm regretting, I should have, I could have did this, I could have did that. Whereas like you settle, I don't want to say settle, I don't want to make it seem like I'm superficial, but it's like you don't want to. You don't want to. Everybody deserves their best. So it's like, if we praying to God and stuff like that, God, your blessing is your blessing. Right. If that 8 is your everything, that 8 should be a 10 in your eyes. And for what I'm trying to say. So if I'm looking at the woman and she's an 8 to me, if that's your lady, she should be a 10. To you. Now, if you looking at that, in my case, people looking at my woman, she may be a 5 or a 7. But in my eyes, she was a 6 or 7. I knew I was tripping then. If she was a 6 to 7 when I'm looking at her, you knew you was just, okay, that's me being desperate, or I just want to be with somebody. You knew that's not what you wanted. Right. And now, years later, you pissed about it. Fix yourself up. Right. If I would have picked what I wanted, she would have been a 10 to me. Regardless if, time goes by, her breast drops, this, that, and the third. She's still my 10. Right. She can be 400 pounds. She's my 10. Right. So I think that is what I'm trying to say. I don't think it's so much the appearance wise. I think whoever you decide to be with should be that apple of your eye. If that makes sense.
And the reason I asked is because we have such a vanity issue. Right. We have such a vanity issue. Right. We have an issue with how women choose to dress, how we choose to present ourselves. Right. Even men. Not trying to be funny, but y'all in these skinny jeans is killing me.
Right. I can't do it.
Because I feel like when y'all take y'all jeans off, if they tight like this, when you take them down, do they come out inside out?
They gonna come out inside out.
I just feel like that's some girl stuff right there. Like girls pants be tight like that to come out inside out. But so I think that when we talk about, for me, when I think about gender, somebody says something. No. When I think about gender and I think about gender roles, for me, I think about a man's man. I think about who my grandfather was, who my father was. I think about what they were like as men, what attributes I liked, what attributes I didn't like. Right. What about these things are important to me? So I know what it is that I want in a partner based on what I saw. Right. So now I know, okay. But then you don't really, you see, when we get married, we learn so much once we get married. Because there's a lot of things that you think that that you really don't know. Right. You try to figure it out.
You're trying to figure it out.
But I know what I bring to the table. Remember, we talked about that. Right. What is it that you bring to the table? These are the things that I want to do. This is the kind of wife I want to be. My husband made a dope point the other day. He said, how can somebody be a wife when she was never raised to be a wife? How can a man be a husband if he was never raised to be a husband?
Right.
If you never got the model, if you never had that conversation or that mirror for you, how do you know how to do this very particular job? But so many people want to be in the lane of the job and don't have any idea how to do the job.
No qualifications. Right.
Now, we talked about all the other stuff throughout this series. I'm not discrediting that.
Right.
All of those things are great to be able to communicate and to know what you want. But do you know how to handle it once you get it?
Once you get it. Right.
Because your standards and boundaries are about what you need somebody else to do.
Right.
But what about what it is that you bring to the table?
Right. Right.
Are you ready to be a wife, or are you ready to be a husband? Are you ready to be a man that's going to provide and protect and cover your family spiritually?
Right.
And as a woman, are you willing to nurture, support, and encourage and raise children?
Right.
Because here's the thing also, men want legacy. So for women that have children already, are you willing to have more children? Because most men can have, and you know, it's unfortunate, it is a double standard. I can't do anything about it.
Right.
But men, even throughout the Bible, throughout time, they were married, their wives died, they got remarried, they had more children.
Right.
The biggest thing for them was to keep legacy and population of the family name alive. So they would have as many children as they could to make sure that happened. Right. Now, I know to have children, you have to be able to provide for them. Yeah, but my question becomes, you know, these are the things that we don't think about.
Right.
If you already have children, are you ready to have more children?
No.
Does that person have? She said no. Some people, okay, so that may be a benefit. You know what I'm saying? Some men don't want more children. Some men have had their hey, I got 6, I got 5, I'm good.
Right.
That's my legacy.
If she has kids or whatever, that's fine. But as far as me producing more, that's it. I'm done. I did my part.
Okay.
Yeah, I did my part.
So I think those are the things that I think about. You know, how do we, you know, we get what we want, knowing what our lane is going to be.
Right.
You can't want a man to be a certain kind of way if you're not going to be the certain kind of woman.
That's a fact. And vice versa.
If you want to be the entertainment in the entertainment circle, you're likely going to find it very difficult,
right,
to have a healthy relationship. Right. Because you're going to have to be with someone who's also in the industry, because they are able to understand the industry, but then it puts a lot of temptation around you in that industry. That industry is not conducive for healthy, does not promote anything about healthy relationships.
Right. No, not at all. Not at all.
So it really fights against the grain of having healthy relationships.
Right. Right. And then even in that, no. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, so think about your circle.
Right.
See, we have a tendency to adopt what our social circle is about. It's funny because me and Simon was talking about this earlier, but it's we are what we hang around. We mirror what we put in. You know what I'm saying? What those that we choose to socialize with.
Right.
So in that context, you know, this is the outcome. So if you really want certain things, or you want to get better at certain things to be able to help that relationship, you really have to go out and kind of do the work on that.
Do the work.
Especially if you're a woman that can't cook. Okay. Now I'm not chastising nobody that can't cook. I know that the traditional today's women, a lot of them don't cook.
Right.
They don't know how. We've kind of lost some things along the guidelines. You know, we've lost big mamas. Grandmas are 35 now. Grandma 35. Right. Grandma 27.
Right.
Grandma's still trying to get life experience, so she can't really be nobody big mama because she ain't old enough to be able to do that.
Right.
Daughter and mama are more like friends.
Right. Hanging out in the club together. Right.
So when you think about being somebody's wife or wanting those certain things, you really have to check yourself. The same thing for men.
Same thing. Same thing.
Same thing for men.
Same thing.
You know, if you, you know, if your mama, you know, had you when, you know, she was young and, you know, now she done tried to raise you and you done basically grew up with mom.
Right.
That's going to have an effect on your ability to really soak in what is needed. Right. So a lot of times we just want to be in positions. We don't have a clue what those positions really look like.
Facts.
It's deeper than a standard and a boundary.
Right.
This is about giving up to create. To let go of self, because marriage is selfless. Love is selfless. You got to give that up.
You got to give it up. Give it up.
So if you want to be more career driven, marriage isn't for you.
Wow.
It's not for you.
Right. Right.
I mean, today's modern relationships, you see men staying at home. Men stay home, raise children while women go to work.
Wow.
That is more common today than I've ever seen.
Right.
My grandfather would be rolling over in his grave.
Right. Right.
Like, my grandfather married my grandmother when she was 17 years old.
Right.
They had 8 children. My grandmother didn't work. My grandfather built houses and was a firefighter.
Wow.
And was chief of the fire department and still built houses.
Right. At the same time. Right.
My grandmother raised 8 children.
Right. Right.
But for a man, my grandfather would go crazy if you mean to tell me men are sitting at home and women are. It's role reversal.
Right. And that's a whole nother topic right there. That's one we're gonna have to hit, because it's like one thing that I could say, being a single dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
One thing that's becoming more common, and I don't understand it, and I'm just gonna throw it out there and leave it. But it's like I know a lot of single fathers.
Mm-hmm.
That's, you know, like they're full-time dads and stuff like that. It's like that's I can count on my finger at least 7 guys I know right now that has their kids full-time.
You got to think about what we're okay. So we're gonna kind of gender roles.
Right.
We're talking about gender roles anyway in relationships, so we can talk about it right quick. So,
right.
The feminist movement,
right,
really played for us in our community in a time where our community was already broken.
Right.
Okay, because we know the crack epidemic came through, split up a lot of families. You know, the 70s destroyed a lot of families when they were taking our men to Vietnam. They were coming back, you know, drug addicted. You know, housing told us that men couldn't move into those houses. We'll shelter you and your children.
Right.
But the men can't go.
Right.
We have been in a system since the late 60s, early 70s, where we have started to see a major shift within our culture.
Right.
That has led to some of that. I don't know if y'all ever listened to David Banner's. He did an interview long time ago where he talked about the integration wasn't bad, but it happened at the wrong time.
It happened at the wrong time. Because
we had Black Wall Street. We had Black businesses. We sold to each other. We bought from each other. Our communities were wealthy. We had money. We had our own schools.
Right.
Integration happened at a time where it destroyed and knocked all that out the box.
Knocked it out the box.
It shouldn't have happened. We wanted it at a time where we should have been okay with emasculating more power and wealth within our own before we came to the table and said, okay, now we're ready to do this.
Right. Right.
They found a way to take the division, you know, the equality, and then divide us.
Right.
So now we have the trauma from not only slavery, but we have the trauma from that. And then we get into the 70s and we get into the 80s. So now women have been forced to have to take on these roles with no help.
With no help.
And then in the 90s, we start getting the feminist movement, the independent woman movement.
Right.
Right?
That's a fact.
So fast forward that into today, the progression, women have had to do it.
Right.
Now they say, oh, well, we can do it. I want to do it. You don't. You don't. Because if you did, you wouldn't want a husband.
Right. Right.
You wouldn't want a husband. You can't want a husband and be so independent that you can't submit.
Right.
And the reason you're not willing to submit is because you're afraid to give somebody that much trust.
Right.
So if you're scared to submit and give that much trust, you don't want to be married. You can't be on both sides of the fence with them.
Right.
But when it comes to, see, that's the shifting of the gender role. I've said that men have become way more feminized.
Right.
They don't like to hear it, but they have.
Right.
You wearing skinny jeans. Everybody see what Cam Newton them be wearing lately? My homeboy Pharrell be coming out with purses. Why you got that big ass purse?
Right. That's the thing, though. That's a whole. The thing with that, right, is like they take these superstars, or they take what's the word that I want to use? Like people like they look up to. They take these icons and put people. They make these people, but at the same time, it's like they put them in these demasculating situations, or they womanize these men, right?
Yeah.
But these are like the athletes for like Michael Jordan and them back in the day. That wasn't, you didn't see that. So it's like, you know, the heroes, the Martin Luther Kings, the Malcolm X's, the leaders, the leadership of the voice of the, you know, the culture. They were masculine. Whereas like nowadays it's like anybody that's a superstar or influential. Right, whether you're a movie star, whether you're athlete, whether you're a rapper, whatever the case may be, it's like, so now the youth are watching them. These are their future leaders, so they're looking up to them. I want to be like such and such. Now they put them in a dress, or they put them in a purse, or they do. I was just watching a podcast on that where shock value, where everybody does stuff for shock value now. Right. Like, okay, let me put this dress on. It's to snap a picture. It goes viral. Those are checks. That's endorsements. So they may be straight guys. You know what I mean? It's like, but now they do this. They put this picture out. People start talking about it. Now they're getting interviews. Now they get media coverage. Now they're getting endorsements and stuff like that. Where it's like, you know, in the industry, in the entertainment world, period, you go cold. When you go cold, it's no business. That means no money. Right. So people are so desperate now for sensationalization, to be sensationalized. I mean, or viral and stuff like that. They're willing to do anything, right? Like to get people talking or bring interest their way. So it's like even with the NBA stars and the Russell Westbrooks, the Cam Newtons and stuff like that. It's like you look at it and it's like this is systematically set up. So it's like you may take a rapper, right, or an entertainer who's just an average Joe, where it's like, you know, they're not a superstar. They just, so now the labels say you're not selling. So now they look at, I'm not going to call anybody out, but they may look at another superstar who may dress like a woman. He cross dresses. He's trending. He's getting 1 million views. He's getting, you know, even though people are talking trash about him, he's getting 1 million views. So now the average person says, yo, okay, that's the way that's my end. So now they put on or, you know, it may not even be a dress. I might carry a purse. I might do this. And now their superstardom shoots up. And it's the same way with women. Where it's like some women may come in, you know, I'm going to use my talent. I'm not going to dress sexy. I'm not going to do this. But it's like the girl that has no talent. Right. She takes her clothes and she shoots up here. So now subconsciously, the girl that's like, I got talent, she starts to think my talent isn't enough because people ain't checking for me. I got the voice, I got the education, but they're checking for the girl that's, you know, the just naked. That's all she has to offer. So now we begin to devalue ourselves, where it's like, yo, what I'm doing must not be working, or my talent is not good enough. So now people get desperate because they have bills. They have, you know, so now it's like they begin to compromise their morals. They compromise their standard. So now it's like, men, to be successful, we got to put you in a dress. We got to womanize you. So it's like anybody, if we did a top 100 list of the most influential people, men, top 100 men. And if we looking at masculinity, like 90 of them are going to be disqualified. Right. It may be 10 out of the 100 that's masculine, but it's still something about them. Right. That's a question mark, because they wouldn't be on the list. And it's the same way with the women. So it's like a bigger thing. So now they shove it down your throat, shove it down your throat, shove it down your throat. And people they're under what's the word? They're tricked thinking this is the only way out. So it's like with women, I have to sell my body, I have to show my body, I have to degrade myself. You don't. But that's the misconception that they paint. So it's like, right.
But that's how you change the gender roles right there.
Right.
That's how you change gender roles. That's how you create confusion. That's how you destroy the family.
Right.
But when you have modern day ideology,
right, you
can't have successful, healthy marriage because number one, God is not in the equation.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying? God's not in the equation. There's no need to settle. You shouldn't have to settle. We all get hurt. And I want to say that. We all get hurt. Right. We all go through things. My thing for you would be this. When we go through something traumatic in a relationship, I don't know if that's like, infidelity, there's so many different levels to this. So my thing is process what happened. What happened? Were there warning signs that you maybe didn't, the red flags? Did you not see the red flags? Were you overlooking them because of other qualities? Right. But process what the breakdown was. You're not at fault for being hurt.
Right.
But process the breakdown. Were there things that you were just overlooking that you should have been able to look at better? Did you jump too soon in this relationship? Did you know her well enough to do that? Really process the relationship to see where the breakdown was. Because if you can catch where the breakdown happened, now you're able to go back and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do differently this time moving forward.
Right.
Or this is what I need to see next time moving forward. Let me know if that helps. If you want to get more specific, let me know. We'll address it. It's open forum night as well. So please bring all your comments, questions, and concerns. I'm here to help.
Put the questions in the comments. Definitely.
But gender roles are a real thing. So, but see, women no longer. Okay, so this is why I said it's a touchy subject, because people are going to get offended no matter how you slice it, how you dice it.
Right.
And my goal is never to offend anybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it's food for thought. That's what I say. It's food for thought. But I don't go out my way to offend you. If you get offended, I'm sorry for that.
Right.
But here's the real reality. They have wanted to, they have put women in a position that they knew was going to deter the family household.
Right.
Women are no longer raising their children.
Right.
Because you got careers.
Right.
So you got a career, dad got a career, or dad's not in the picture. Who raising the kid? The school system, social media, and every other thing else that you don't want to have an influence in your household. Right. See, when women were at home, and this is something that people don't like, you can get mad at me all you want to. When women were at home, every aspect of those children's lives was influenced by the home.
By the home.
Because moms joined PTA. Moms did the bake sales. So they were together 5 years. Okay.
That's all he put right now. He might come back.
Okay. Let me know if you got if you got my advice, and let me know. You know, if you wanna disclose more, let me know. If not, just drop a little extra hint or something, and we'll keep the conversation flowing. But women were involved. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the cliche. I call it the cliche show, but I absolutely loved it when I was a kid. Leave It to Beaver.
Leave It to Beaver.
Leave It to Beaver really had a very interesting dynamic. There were some things that were very off about the show, but there were some things that were very interesting, that I was like, oh, well, that could be, a good thing. If you go back and watch it today, keep an open mind, you'll be able to see where some things were kind of, and then you'll be able to see where some things were like, So, but the idea of women being home was that the children was never solely influenced because there was no one there.
No one there.
Why dad provided. Now dad comes home. He's also involved. He's disciplinary. He's warm. He's loving.
Right.
But dad is going to do the male portion with his children that is required.
Right.
His role, what is in his role, what is in his lane. But when you remove women and we get so career driven and so independent, we forget about our role as nurturers.
Right.
That's why people can get mad that women be like, oh, I want to be able to do this and I can do that and I can do anything a man can do. Physically, you cannot.
No.
And that's just the real reality.
Right.
You're not built that way. Mentally and physically, you are not built the same. Does that mean that you're less than? No.
Right. And same way, man can't do certain things women can do.
Women can do.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. It means we're made for a lane and a purpose.
Right.
But when we get so far ahead of ourselves that we want to be this way, but then we also want to get married, you can't have it both ways.
You can't have it both ways. It's going to crash. Right.
Men don't need you to be independent all like that. He don't want that.
Right.
What are you going to do with that? Because you coming in with the independent attitude, you coming in with the independent upsert authority, you coming in with the mouth, you coming in with the neck rolling, you coming in with all of that. He don't want that. He not going to deal with that. You're not misogynistic. Being a housewife is a beautiful thing. I'm sorry. But then again, think about who you're talking to. Okay.
Right.
I know how to knit. I know how to crochet. I have many little off the screen, behind the door talents that I think are amazing.
Right.
I know that everybody doesn't have the same upbringing.
Right.
But it makes me feel good as a woman to do certain things for my household.
Right.
But that's something that I enjoy doing. You have to be in tune with that to give that.
Right.
So that's what he was saying. It's not that you're misogynistic. It's that you want a traditional household.
Right. That's the first
what
one.
You're saying to a woman right now, what he's saying right now, this is dope. I'm putting it out there. What he's saying is dope.
Right.
He's saying, I have the means as a man to provide for you, to cover you, to protect you, and to give you everything that I am supposed to do as a man. I am in the position to do that for you.
Right.
In return, I just want you to stay home. Staying at home is not a bad thing.
Right.
You get more free time than you realize. I get to go to lunch with your girlfriends once a week. You know what I'm saying? You get to keep up with certain things. Cleaning the house. Look, I don't know about nobody else, but I like my house a certain kind of way.
Right.
I can't let nobody else in here do it. Don't come in here and mess with it. Don't mess with it. I got it. I know where stuff goes. This is how I want it to look. This is how I want it to be. So for me, that doesn't work. But I like doing that. This is my house. I want to take care of my house.
Right.
When people come over, I want them to have a good experience, right? But I'm in touch with that.
Right.
Women have to understand that you get something to give something.
Right.
This is not just about you. Like my
I'm gonna
man
leave that up there for a minute. I'm gonna leave that for a minute while you talking. I'm gonna just leave that up there.
Okay. I don't think you can unbrainwash women.
Right.
But I think women have to get to a point where they start to see that they're not really getting what they want.
Right. Right.
Women in this country are the only ones that are like that.
Right.
Like I said, I don't agree with everything Kevin Samuel says, but a lot of some of the things that he says are really on point. And believe it or not, there are a lot of women that watch him. There are a lot of women that follow him.
Right. And that's real. And the thing is, it's got to get back to the unit.
Like yeah, women in India aren't like that. Women in all these foreign countries, a lot of them are not like. We are the only ones that have gotten so far away from traditional values.
Right.
But it's all a spin to break down traditional marriage and to do away with those values. Right. Those values have been attacked since the 60s, even before then. But they went hard in the paint in the 60s to really go ahead and start doing away with that.
Right.
Meanwhile, they're raising your children.
They're raising these kids. Right.
So that's why I think roles are so important. Roles are important because it creates a function and a safety for the family.
Right.
It protects your children. It protects you. It forces you as a woman and as a man to really come together.
Right.
It forces you to work together.
Right.
But a man staying home is not, he's not built for that.
Right. Facts.
Women are leaving their children for independence.
Right. Right.
When you say more single fathers, women are leaving their children for independence. It is acceptable here.
Right. Right.
To chase dreams.
Right.
Foreign countries, you're not doing that.
No. No.
Raising children is the hardest, most beautiful thing that you could ever do in life. I have two. I know. It's deep. But you know what? This generation here is going to be a very interesting generation when they get old.
Right.
Because of where we are with parenting and where we are on personal moral and personal value, where we stand spiritually. Right. Traditional marriage is built off of the ideology of Christian values, period, point blank. You will not be traditional if you don't have a relationship with God and see it in his sense. So it's not brainwashing, it's really reconnecting. Right. It's doing away with what society says and learning to really get in touch with the way that it was created to be done.
Right. And that's the thing, it's programming. It's like we caught in the matrix. It's like
we in the matrix.
We definitely caught in the matrix. So it's like, you know, even Facebook right now, they're getting a bunch of backlash for like promoting the negative, promoting anger, promoting violence and stuff like that. So it's like, it's the same thing. It's like with social media and these platforms, it's like they sensationalize negativity, violence, anything that goes against the rights for what's good. So it's like, you know, when you get outside of the states, right, you go to other countries.
Oh, yeah.
And you see this, it's like they don't move the way that we move. So what we thinking is like we're in a bubble. It's like this is the normal. Everybody's doing it. No, everybody's not. It's everybody here. Everybody that's connected in. So it's like it's even people here that they say, yo, I don't be on social media. I don't watch certain TV shows. I don't do certain things because they know this is programming. So it's like when it comes to the kids, when it comes to the women, when it comes to, if it's like this, all you getting pump. You just getting drill this every day. It becomes normal to you. You become desensitized, and you don't realize this is wrong. So it's like when you looking from the outside in, and you like, yo, y'all really gonna go for that? 90% of the people plugged in, they're gonna go for that because this is their normal. And they don't see anything wrong with it. Like they feel like, yo, I know the truth, or my eyes are open. I know what's going on. And it's like, if you knew the truth and your eyes was open, you would be going to a better.
That's right.
Not to worse.
Right.
So it's like when people say, I don't believe in marriages anymore. I don't believe in love. I don't believe in certain things. It's like, we were created to multiply. We were created to get married. We were created to be a family structure. So when this stuff is like, yo, this is now the less popular choice. Independence is better. The sexualization is better. The player way is the better way. You know, that's no different than back in the day with the gangs and the drugs, where it's like a lot of me, like even me, a lot of my friends, we took the trap. This is our only way out. It was once we caught the felonies. This once we been to prison. Like, yo, this ain't what it was supposed to be. This ain't all that they cracked it up to be. Now you're trying to put the pieces together.
Right.
It's the same thing with the agenda they're pushing now. It's like by the time people realize it, like we were caught up in the matrix. They put up bamboos on us. It's already too late. So as they program us, our children are watching us. So it's like now you watch kids. It's like they throw fits. Like, where's my tablet? Yo, They know how to go on YouTube and watch what they want to watch. Give me my phone. Let me go up here. I want to watch this. Already at 4 or 5 years old. Yeah. So by the time they're 19, 20 years old, they can't live without a device.
But the parents can't live without it either. So the parents then got programmed to the point where now the children are programmed, the parents don't have a leg to stand on. And that's why I said if households really were traditional,
right.
But if you really go back to traditional, you do away with a lot of that. You get to get rid of a lot of that.
Right.
But see, we're so that's why I said, you know, the series was great. And I enjoyed doing the series. But I wanted to come back with this tidbit because I really just want people. Hold on one second. Ethan. Trying to get Ethan or Cruz to come get this cat because he is scratching at my door and I'm not about to get up, but he hit the door. But that's why I said, you know, all that information that we talked about throughout this series was great. Right. But here's the real reality for marriage. What is that going to look like to be sustainable?
Right.
If you did your homework assignments, you should have some clear direction for yourself and what it is that you want and what you're trying to do.
Right. The foundation set, right.
And if there's something you don't know, then you have to be willing to learn.
Right.
But women are so vital and crucial to the upbringing of children.
Right.
You can't do that and be about certain things.
Right.
I knew that this episode was going to be a rough one, and I contemplated doing it. I contemplated back and forth, and I was like, some people gonna get upset. But this is where the going gets real in the relationship.
Right.
Two alphas can't come together.
No.
And if a man allows a woman to assert authority over him all the time, then you got a relationship where he's never going to show up for you and be a man for you because he can't.
We call it henpeck. Like,
he's been emasculated somewhere.
Right.
I don't know what the trauma is behind that. That's an individual case basis.
Right.
And then you hear women, oh, I want a man's man. I hear a lot of women say, I want him to be able to do. I want him to be handy with his hands. I want him to work. I want him to be disciplinary with the kids. I want him to do this and I want him to do that. And, but you're not built for a man like that.
Right.
You talk too much. You like it. You gotta learn to talk back. No, for real. You
have to learn.
Or you want to be so independent that you wouldn't submit.
Right.
It ain't just about a high value man. An average man that still wants to be respected and still wants to be seen as the head of the household. Now, if you get with a man who's not in a position to be the head of the household, then that's on you for not getting with someone who was in a position. This is what the standards, the boundaries, the communication, the dating, and all that stuff is for, is to find the person that you're looking for.
Right.
But you can't want certain things and not be willing to give certain things.
You have to be willing to give.
Right. And if you want to be Instagram dressing, and he wants to be on Instagram showing off his body all the dang on time, because that's a two-way street today. That's a two-way street today.
Oh, he's smacking him? He's smacking him? Face palm and smacking him?
I think that's what that is.
Hold on, you'll clarify that in the comments, bro. You smacking him?
What was the one before that? What did he say before that?
Wow.
See, but he's a real statement. Real man lead. A man has to lead the household. You can't lead the household if you own a 50-50.
Right.
If she paying half of the bill, she got half of the say so.
She got half to say so.
It's different. Now, understand me when I say that. Like, this is not me saying because he pays all the bills and he's the head, he got all the power. Let's go ahead and get that clear now.
Right.
That is not the case.
Right.
Okay. He has power and authority to lead his family. You chose this man, so you should be able to submit to him and trust him with your life and his direction. Does not mean that a man does not consult with his wife.
Right.
It does not mean that they don't sit down and have conversations about direction, and he respects her opinion. Oh.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying with that. Now, I know this ain't nobody else, and there ain't no women in here talking, so it must be real quick and say it.
Wow.
Yeah. Women empowerment. Here's the thing. I'm for women empowerment, for women to come together and to educate each other and to teach each other and to share with each other if it is in an opportunity of an environment that is conducive for the well-being of women as a whole. But if we're coming together to support each other on some BS and to break families, then I don't support that. People, North Carolina holds women's empowerment.
Right.
The whole thing. And I've asked my girlfriends, like, come on, girl, we gonna go. I ain't going today.
Wow.
And then they got men speaking there. Who they coming to speak for? Who they talking about? I saw some of the male leaders that was on there. And somebody said, he can't talk to me about nothing. I don't fool with TDJ. Got Tyler Perry on the stage laying hands on you. And you falling out. See, I don't play with stuff, okay? I ain't gonna get us banned for you. I'm gonna sit down. But I'm just Harry men don't look good in April. There it is.
Wow.
But that's his view.
That's his view.
That's his right.
Right.
He's just saying, I want a woman that wants to be traditional so that I can play my role and you play your role. And in turn, and a man, this is where vetting comes in important. This is why you don't rush to make decisions. You vet a person to make sure. Because if he's traditional, he's going to court you. He's really going to court you.
Right.
He's going to do it right.
Right. No, that's a fact.
But he's also going to be in a position to take care of it.
Definitely. And that's the thing, it's like when you treat a woman right and you building her up and it's a healthy relationship, she's going to be empowered already. In that sense, you get what I'm saying? They're changing it, flipping the script of empowerment where we don't need a man. That's something totally different. But if you loving your woman healthy the right way,
yes,
she's gonna be empowered. She's gonna feel like, yo, she's gonna be happy about herself, love herself, and all this stuff. But it's like they try to corrupt and take certain words and try and change it and spin these movements where it's like empowerment now means I don't need a man. You need a man. Now you should be healthy. It's not saying let a man dominate you, let a man, put you in a corner, beat you up. You shut up. You don't say nothing. Now that's not healthy.
That becomes the use of power of authority, saying, well, because I'm the head, we're not equal. And I can treat you this kind of way because you're beneath me. No, what that is abuse of power of abuse of power and authority.
Wow. But the vet for the woman to make sure that she's that compatible one is like you really want to put it, you really want to not just jump into a situation. You really want to make sure that you want to see what she's about, meaning like how does she think? How does she handle certain situations and stuff like that before you just jump into a relationship? I think, but I'll let her expound. She's the expert. She's the therapist.
You was doing it.
I got nervous.
No, but really, that's basically it. When you date somebody, you want to make sure, you want to see what their standards are. You want to know where their boundaries lie. You want to be able to express yours and see if those things align, because your standards don't waver. These are the things that you want that are non-negotiable. They don't waver. So you need to ensure that y'all are kind of mirroring each other a little bit on that these are livable things that you can deal with. Have conversations, see where their head is at. What's important to them? What do they need? Actions are going to support everything that they say. So you want to make sure there's consistency in that area. And that's why dating and courting each other is such an important process. I don't know if you've been here for the whole series. If you haven't, definitely check it out. Because we've kind of walked through a lot of that over the course of time.
Right.
I just decided to go, left a little bit and bring in a little controversy to see how people would feel or what their thoughts are about gender roles and what that looks like in a marriage. Because the ultimate goal is marriage. People wouldn't watch relationship episodes and series and search these things if they weren't interested in wanting to be married.
Right.
So the reality is that you do want to be married.
Right.
So now the question just becomes, okay, you got everything else in place. Are you willing to let go to have what it is that you want?
Right. Less.
Okay.
Right.
So do you have what you are you willing to give that up? Independence in a marriage is not there for anyone. The man is also equally submissive to his wife.
Right.
Because he is dependent on her for certain things just as much as she depends on him for certain things.
Right.
So that's why they're submissive to each other, because they depend on each other. They rely on each other. No, and I think that a lot of women today are afraid of submission because they're worried about men abusing the power.
Abusing the power.
They're worried about the abuse of power.
Right.
Now it's different. Now let me just say this.
Society's shaking right now. It's falling apart. Yeah. You're definitely right about that.
Yeah.
Everything is out of whack. That's why it's like what's wrong looks right. With certain things that we don't agree with, it's like, yo, it's the normal. It's like everything is out of because of that same thing right there. It's all been distorted.
And that's the biggest reason right there. And we've allowed it.
Right.
We've allowed it. We've kind of become a society, not to be funny, where anything goes and you can do whatever you want, whatever makes you feel good, be happy, do you. Well, that's a really loose way of saying that.
Right.
That's a really loose way of throwing it out there.
Right. And we're seeing the effects. Right.
Yeah. If see, here's the thing. We know, like I said, women control the access to sex. Men control the aspect to relationships and marriage.
Right. Facts.
Men have the keys to that. If they don't want you, ain't nothing popping up. I don't care how much you cry about it, how much you beg about it. Look, if he don't want you, it ain't popping up.
At all.
He holds the keys to marriage and the relationship. You just hold the door and the access to sex.
Right. Right.
This is how this works, unfortunately. This is where we are.
Right. And when he's not motivated by sex, women they get intimidated now.
Well, yeah. Because here's the thing. We are in a society now where women are more educated.
Right.
Okay. And like I said, I don't fault women for that because a lot of us have to take care of ourselves until we're ready to get married.
Right.
So once we get married, we have to learn, okay, how to become a we in a marriage. Same thing for men.
Right.
Men need to learn how to be men and husbands before they can take on a wife.
Right.
Because just because you both equally submit to each other and you identify in your roles, it is still a respect.
Still respect.
Because I always tell people, I refer to the Song of Solomon.
Right.
That book is so powerful with love. Sometimes you don't know, are they talking about each other? They're talking about God. They were in love with God, but they were also in love with each other.
Right.
The power of love, but the respect and the vulnerability and the care that he showed his wife is still what women need. That's why I said certain things are made for in the marriage home behind closed doors. It's not made for the work.
Right.
But we get angry with each other. We want to go on social media. We want to tell all our friends everything. Look, there's nothing wrong with having an ear to talk to and someone to talk to about certain things. But everything is not for everybody.
Right. Everybody wants a reality show.
Right. You were watching some Kevin Samuels, haven't you? You watch Kevin Samuels, I'm a little worried. I'm a little concerned over there.
Yeah, that's the thing. But let me say this right quick. I know a lot of times women will tell me, right, from what they've seen in the past, right? Like the big mamas, not all of them, right? Some of the big mamas and stuff like that, they were in bad situations. Grandpa get drunk, beat grandma up, this, that, and the third. Grandma's there with the kids, right? So now the woman has no education, no money. So they have to stay. So a lot of women, just on different talks with women I have, a lot of them, they resent that. Like, I don't ever want to be in a situation where it's like, I don't have nothing to fall back on. Where it's like all my eggs in the basket and now he's abusing me. Or now it's like, it becomes unhealthy. Right. And now I have no education. So it's like, okay, in that sense, I understand. Like, okay, boom, you definitely want to, nobody wants to feel like I'm trapped. Right. But at the same time, it's like, you going in a relationship is a gamble. Love is a gamble. You're taking it, but it's like, if you're working towards it, it's like, once you get married, that's a commitment. Like, we're both on the same page. We're working towards this to become one. So it's like, okay, grandma's situation was a trauma to you. You have to heal from that. What went wrong with them? So in some senses, you have some women that is like, I want to get an education. I want to have a job because I don't want to be in a situation where it's like, now he tells me, you can just leave. And now grandma stayed for 30 years, but grandma wasn't happy. Grandpa slept with everybody in the town, but grandma couldn't pay the bill. She didn't have an out.
Right. No, I get it.
So it's like, now that trauma's falling on them. But it's like, that's not every relationship. And it's like, you shouldn't be looking at going in your relationship like if something's going to go bad.
Well, I think a lot of people brace for that, because when you talk about traditional marriage, when you really talk about traditional marriage, that is the idea That is the idea that pops into people's head. That's what they think about. Oh, you mean I gotta put on an apron and I gotta walk around here and I gotta be a housewife and I gotta tend the kids and I gotta cook your dinner and I gotta be, I gotta wash your clothes and I gotta do this, and you just get to go and have this wonderful life and I'm just basically here tending to your needs. That's the thought process that hits the mind when people think about that. But the reality of it is, if it is done right, and he is really a man, and he knows what his role is. See, first of all, I'm just gonna go and say it and throw it out there anyway. I'm just gonna say it.
Throw it out there.
Without God, you doing it wrong, period.
You're doing it wrong.
I hate to say that for people who don't believe or whatever. Look, if you're gonna follow my channel, my pages, you're gonna see a lot. We're gonna talk about God. That's what we do, that's what I believe. So it may not be for you. And I hate to have to say that, but that's just the reality. God has to be in the midst. If God is the head, and then comes the man, then comes the woman, then comes the children, then comes everything else, then God already told you this is the order.
Right.
So if this is my order, then you take me out. Man ain't God.
Right.
For a man to have a family and to be in that kind of leadership position, if he ain't serving God and he ain't getting on his knees and asking for guidance and praying with his family and really trying to show up and show it out in the spiritual realm, he dang sure can't do it in his own strength, and he will have abusive power and he won't be a good husband.
Right. That's a fact.
Because he don't know how to do. Look, the world is hard. So when I think about marriages and things like that, see, a lot of those men that were doing those kind of things back then, they didn't have a relationship with God.
Right. And they was winging it. They was doing the best that they knew. They was winging it.
They just do what they had power. Oh, you're going to be in the house. I'm going to go out here and sleep around and creep around.
Right. And that's probably what they saying. And, that's probably that's all they knew. So it's like, now that we have the education and we know about, now we know, okay, respect, like you said, that's the key word, respect, boundaries, standards. Right. So it's like, if you love this woman, you're going to uplift her. You're not going to beat her. You're not going to mistreat her. That's not love.
You're not going to emotionally abuse her. You're not going to physically abuse her, because she is, according to the Bible, she is under you. God says that women are the weaker vessel. Why would you want to abuse what is already supposedly in God's eyes is weaker than you? Right. She needs the man. Right. But there's a fear of that. That's the flip side.
That's the flip side. That is
the flip side. Right. Women in our culture, in our generation, have witnessed their mothers have to be single parents and have to work and raise children because the fathers aren't there. Maybe there is substance abuse. It's a level of dysfunction when you look at multiple different variables.
Right.
But men have to prove
that's the vetting for the women. That's the vetting
to the family. They had to prove to the family.
Right.
You know what I like about the Indian culture? I will say this, and people can get mad. I don't care. Right. They make them, when they go out on dates, when they're being courted, each of the man and the woman has to bring someone from their family to participate on the date. Now, they're not there to interrupt the date, but if they go to the movies, they sit, maybe they sit behind them. Or if they go to dinner, they sit in another booth. But they are monitoring the date to make sure that everything is going like it should be going. Right. Because it's the extra set of eyes. Right. It ensures they don't defile each other before time. Right. Like, there are some things that other cultures do that is really unique and very interesting that I think is that could be very beneficial.
Right. I seen a sermon. I'm back. My bad. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to jump in. I seen a sermon, right? Pastor Battle. He's out of Baltimore, right? And it's funny that you're talking about that, because he just was doing a sermon about that this past Sunday. Okay. I watched it via social media, but I'm actually related to him. He's actually one of my cousins. So it's like, anyway, what he was saying was, as a father, right? It's like you raise a daughter, right? You give your daughter away. She has your name. You take care of her. You bring her up to that point, right? The point he was making was like, before I give her over to you, I need to know she's going to be in just as good of hands as she was my whole life. Because not only do I give her to you, she drops my name, or my name becomes hyphenated, begins to take your name on.
Right.
I need to know, as the father,
yes,
that you can handle the example that I've set. So it's like, her life shouldn't go down when she get to you. So if she was secure, if the bills was paid, if I paid her way through college, and whatever the case may be, you need to at least be able to sustain or take her to the next level, not make her life worse. And I think with the parents being out the house nowadays, or the divide, we don't have that anymore. Whereas, like, not only did you court, just like you said, in other cultures, they monitor, because it's like, yo, before you wait a minute, I need to know who you are. So it's like, me being a father with daughters, it's like, I don't mind them falling in love, this, that, and third, but I need to know you ain't no joker. That's playing around. It's like, yo, when sickness, when it gets bad, through ups, downs, you remember what you said. If not, leave her where she at. Leave her right here before you take her in and mess her life up. So it's interesting that you said that. And he did a big sermon about it and broke it down. But it's like, to prove, not to the woman, I'm her protector. That's right. Up until you marry her.
That's right.
You need to prove to me that she's in good hands.
That's right. That's why people, when people get married, you are supposed to ask her father for his blessing before you go out there and get on one knee.
Right.
Yep. See, they do it. They do it in that culture as well.
Absolutely. That's real.
It's real.
Hold on, he got one more. Hold on. Whoa, facts.
So I did. So they use the word courting.
Right. Facts.
It's one of those blurred lines. And that's why I said the roles of us in understanding how to move in relationships has been tainted.
Right.
I tell women all the time that I talk to, you can have a worldly man, but that's exactly what he's going to bring to your house.
Right.
That's how he's going to love you. He's going to love you the way the world tells him to love you, and not the way God tells him to love you. Right. If you want a man to do right by you, he has to have that relationship with God.
Right. Right.
Because if he does, y'all will be praying every night together. Because when a man prays with his wife, he covers her in prayer.
Right. Exactly.
A man should lead, not a woman. So if you find yourself in a situation with a man who can't lead you, won't lead you,
that ain't the one.
You got your answer to what kind of marriage you're really in.
Right.
Because for a man to take on a family is his greatest honor, especially in the eyes of God.
Right. Right. Wow.
So I think that if it's done right, and a man shows you the love, the care, the support,
right,
energy, the spirituality, is willing, like you said, to build you, to lift you, to grow you, to pour into you, you will equally feel comfortable pouring back.
Right.
And you won't be afraid to give up the eyes fully.
Right. No, that's a fact. That is a fact. Daily routine and immaculate masculine. Same for women and feminine.
I don't have an exercise specifically for that. My thing is, I don't know. I know you talked about Islam a lot, so I don't know if that's your faith. But I'm just a firm believer in the word, the good book. You can't go wrong with the good book.
Right.
To me, because I am Christian, I do read the Bible. I do believe in that. So I do believe that the book gives us all the answers.
Right.
So God leads us in the way that we should go.
Right. And that's leading and her nurturing and stuff like that. So it's like that's all in the vetting process. So a daily routine is, doing that. Him leading to be a better leader, seeking guidance to be a better leader.
Yes.
And her following the lead. And it's like at the same time, it's like vetting, both sides vetting to make sure. Now, if we're married and we talk about a daily routine for him to be masculine, that's leading, prayer, taking the role. Her femininity would be, nurturing, submitting to him on that level, not submitting to the point where it's like he's her ruler. If you're in a dating process, he can show her how to lead, that he's a leader by example, like certain things and taking initiative, planning stuff, courting her the right way. I'm going to honor you. I'm not trying to just get you in the bedroom. In the same way with her, where she's, not trying to usurp his authority. If you're in the courting, dating stage, if you're in the marriage stage, he'll be leading and she'll be following every day.
That's it. I thought we was gonna get some more comments. I guess we a little crickets out here today, y'all.
I think the women ain't know we was back. I don't know what's going on today. I don't think the women knew we was back today. They said, "Yeah, y'all have been taking a break." They taking a break.
That's what they said.
It definitely starts with the man.
It does. We say it starts with us, but remember, we only control access to sex. Men control the keys to marriage and relationships. So, with that being said, it is important for men to show what they will not tolerate in women. Just like I tell women all the time, what not to tolerate in men. But if men hold themselves to that same exact standard of their leadership and say, hey, this is what I'm willing to give. And this is what I bring to the table. But if you're not willing to do A, B, C, and D, then I'm not going to settle for that.
Right.
And then for him to back out. Because what happens is when enough people don't accept a behavior can't exist.
It can't exist. And that's what I was going to say. Even with the way that it is now, with everything sexualized, so women's over sexualized. It's like if men weren't aroused by it, if men didn't entertain it, they would have to find a different way. So it definitely starts with the men. We set the tone. It's like we just let everything get out of hand and we just been running with it. And now it's out of hand. But it's like if we respect yourself. We're not into that. We like women. That's respectable. Women would start putting clothes back on. But if men is, I like that, or I'm gonna buy you a Birkin bag, fly you out. Women think, right? So now that's what women thinking. Like, okay, so let me say, I want to get flew out. I want a Birkin bag. Yeah, but it's like we set the standard. We set the standard as the heads.
Yes,
that's not a woman that I would like to date. That's not a wife material. That's
right.
Women would fall in suit. Like, okay, well, I got to find a different way if I want to be with a man.
Yep. No, but that's real.
I'd say the first part. I don't know about the second one.
Me and my husband, we have conversations all the time, but I think there's a lot of men out here too that are also not in positions.
They're not in positions.
They're not in positions to do what they need to do to obtain a healthy household.
Right.
This world is so worldly.
Right.
And so that's why I'm trying to give it on both sides of the coin.
Right.
For a woman to submit to a man, she has to feel secure and know that she's doing it, and that submission she's going to be respected, and it's going to be, it's a safe haven to be in.
Right.
But a lot of these men are worldly. They ain't serving God.
I would say to you, brother, by example. You can't force them or make them. I think if you do it and you stay and you don't compromise and you stay consistent, they'll see it and then they'll gain a respect for you. Because like if you're trying to force it on them, they're gonna reject it. It's like, you know, you can't tell me, because that's another part of the nobody wants to be told what to do.
Right.
But it's like if they see you consistently doing it and you don't waver, this is who I am, this is the standard, this is what I do.
Right.
They'll respect you more than that. They'll respect you more for that than forcing it.
Right.
So when you walk into your authority in that sense, it's like as the head, as a man of the house or a man in your family, you walk in your authority, you walk in your spirit, they will respect you for that. Versus if you, or the same thing, usurping authority, I'm gonna, you the woman, you do what I say. You win more bees with honey.
That's right. And women don't need a man to let them know that he's in charge.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like women,
your actions speak louder way before you even say a word.
Men who have been married for 50, 60 years, that are godly men, see how they treat their wives. Oh, thank you. See how they treat their wives.
That's how you treat your wife. Look at Cruz at that. He's showing you how to treat his wife.
But really though, they love their wives. Right. They care for them. They treat them like, you know, they're just precious to their heart. They are grateful for them in the birthing of their children and raising their children and caring for them and nurturing them when they're sick. And they just appreciate what women bring to the table. So that you don't have to let people know that you are in charge. Your essence and your energy and your aura does that by itself. Right. It's being a man that is wise in God and showing the world that, yes, I may have this, but I know how to let God lead me to lead this. Right. You're not doing it in your own strength. A man who takes glory for himself and gives no glory to God is not a man of God. Right. Right. But that's all I got for y'all today. Wow. We didn't get a whole lot, but
they didn't show up. They gonna watch the playback. They watch the playback. They gonna be mad later because they ain't nobody said they left you out there to dry tonight. Yeah, they left you out there tonight. The men is in the building tonight. But
I thought they were gonna get mad at me anyway. So, but next week we got the wrap up.
Next week the wrap up.
We got the wrap up in our conclusion. Since everybody's not in here tonight, we won't drop socials tonight. Okay. I'll wait for everybody to come back. We will also do conclusion and open forum.
It'll be the next week, same time, 7:30 next Sunday. It'll be the next relationship.
Right. Come back. It's going to be open forum again. If you have questions, you can always reach out to me on Facebook. We can open up a dialogue. 7:30 Sunday.
7:30.
But if you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me on Facebook. It's Natalie Collier. We can we can talk. I'm always open to help people, politic with people. I think that's a dope thing to do. Right. But I hope you come back. And if you got any questions, comments, or concerns, please bring them to the open forum also next week.
Right. Definitely. Yeah,
and then I'm gonna try to get something on my show for parents and for some of the parents. I'm trying to get you come over to the show.
I'm with that. I'm definitely with that right there. Definitely with it. Hold on. He got another comment right quick. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. Two actually. I got. He said thanks for the talk. I'm not sure what the tones. Okay. He said thanks for the talk.
You're welcome. I hope you come back next week. Yeah, I hope you come back next week. Like I said, Mr. Z, if you haven't, or MZ, if you haven't watched the series, check out the series this week. Get caught up like 1 through 6, and then come back next week. And let us know if you got any comments or questions about what you watched, or if you want to watch it, reach out to me. You can. If you want to watch it, reach out to Sai. You're more than welcome. I appreciate you watching and being a part of it. I love that you have a traditional view. I think that's dope. I hope that we can get that cycle back, so that we can have healthier families.
Right. Now that's a fact right there. We need it. We definitely need it.
Yes.
I'm just queuing up the closing video. Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Okay.
Good. Yeah, we got it.
Okay. Yeah, I lost my light too.
Forgot I had
my ring light. I forgot I had it plugged into the thing, and then when I shut the thing down, they said, "Boop!" I said, "Oh, there go the light."
Wow. There go the light. Yeah, we definitely appreciate everybody for watching the live, whether you watch it on the live or you watch the playback. Salute to all of y'all. Have a blessed week and all that. Yes. We thank y'all again for tuning into the relationship series. We'll see y'all back next Sunday at 7:30. Y'all already know it's going to be lit. Yo, and this is the final one, right? This is the final one.
Yeah, it's going to be the final. It's going to be the final part of the series. So I made sure that everybody gets social information so you can come out and follow, subscribe. But next week is gonna be fun, but it is gonna be a recap. So this is gonna be the time where we get to talk about everything that we've kind of talked about, hit all these points, answer questions, comments, concerns. And like I said, then I'm gonna work on trying to get Sai over to the social so that we can talk about some parenting. Try to work out your schedule and see what you got going on.
Okay, let's put it together. Yeah, I'm with it. Yeah, I'm with it. My video is still loading. I don't know what's going on, but I'm gonna just play it a different way. We good. So I'll let you close out. I'm ready whenever you're ready.
I just hope y'all have a wonderful week, man. Stay blessed. Okay. Stay blessed and rest in God. And you know, there is no other way. I hope that people know that, like, if you really, really want to have a real meaningful relationship, the first one that you must have is with the Father. Because through God, we learn how to love unconditionally. We learn respect. We learn discipline. We learn the importance of so many things in our relationship with God that we are able to bring to a marriage and to being able to be parents and parent our children. We all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect, but it's never too late to decide to have that relationship and really try to be healthy moving forward. So that's all I have. But be healthy this week. Have a great week. I'll see y'all next Sunday, and I salute all of y'all that watched tonight, and I appreciate y'all.
All right, we out of here. I love y'all.
Your time.
I might put you on a flight. I might act just like a guy. I might pay for what I like. I might let you spend the night. I might put you on a flight. I might take you by surprise. I might ask you what's your price. No.